Being a famous superstar in your early 20s, avoiding the years of struggle that most artists go through. Isn't that what we all want? Today, I'm sharing the story of someone who realized that early success wasn't exactly what he expected. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode. This week, I'm still coming to you from my artist residency here in beautiful Sofia, Italy. And if you're new here, I post weekly videos from life as an emerging artist in the hopes that the things I'm learning and doing will be helpful to you on your own journey. And if that sounds good, please don't forget to like and subscribe for new videos every week. I remember when I graduated from college and then a few months in film school to get my certificate, I was so uptight about being successful right away, to be recognized as like this young genius, you know, somehow like believing that if I weren't successful right away, that I wouldn't be successful at all. And part of that was I believe that once I put my work out there, it would instantly go viral and then boom, I would be a superstar. And you know, it didn't happen. And it took me a while to realize why it didn't happen and why that's totally fine and maybe even better. But still, I wish somebody had shared with me back then what I'm about to share with you today. Today's story is about film composer AJ Hochhalter, sorry for the pronunciation, who is one of the composers for a film that won the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award in Sundance in 2013 when he was only 25 years old. So these are from an interview with him written down in the Music Bed blog, which I linked to in the description below. So in that interview, he says, "Very early on in my career, I was lucky to get associated with the film Blood Brother. The director heard some of my music online and sent me a message through Facebook. He said they'd use some of my music in a temporary trailer and they were going to replace it. But in case they didn't, was I okay with them using it? I was like, of course, that's great. Pretty soon they were like, hey, we can't get rid of the music, we love it so much. And eventually I became one of the 3 composers on the film. It was a cool project, I loved the story, but I thought that's where it would end. Then I got this call that, hey, it got into Sundance. Going to Sundance had been a goal of mine since I first started composing, but I assumed that I would be a 45-year-old composer by the time that happened. And even then, I just hoped the film would premiere there, not win anything. So I went to Sundance in 2013 and the film ended up winning the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award. All of a sudden, there were all these reporters and all these articles about me. The University of Kentucky, my alma mater, took me out on center court during a basketball game. There were flags all over campus with my face on them. It was out of control. Amazing story, right? This is exactly the kind of thing I was dreaming of when I was 25. It's just like winning the artist lottery. But as we'll find out, he saw that it doesn't actually automatically solve all of your problems. He continues. Then it just stopped. And I realized, wow, that might never happen again. I realized I'll be trying to get back to that point for the rest of my career. It made the whole thing very bittersweet. That's the weird thing about success. You never feel like you're making it until you look back. And then they ask him, do you feel like it distorted your view of your work? And he says, it totally did. It made me idolize the older stuff I'd written, the stuff that was in the film. I would use that as the measuring stick, which doesn't make any sense. But it's hard to climb out of that when you feel like you've already done your best work. It's hard to get started again. You sit down in front of the piano and it's like, do I even know how to do this anymore? You start thinking, maybe it's time to quit and go do something else. And later on, he says, when I first wanted to go to Sundance, it wasn't because I wanted to be part of an awesome film that did well in the world. It wasn't because I wanted to build meaningful relationships. My motives were that I wanted to do something everyone would see, that would give me authority and show people how good I am. I wanted to be famous and cool and awesome. But that's empty stuff. That stuff gets you nowhere. If that's the heart behind your goal, you're going to have a rough time when you get there. You'll wonder, like I did, why you don't feel the way you thought you would. This reminds me of these stories of these Silicon Valley guys who become extremely rich, like billionaires in their early 20s, and this feeling of suddenly being adrift and lost because you've achieved most people's entire life goals with still having your actual entire life ahead of you. There's a feeling of now what? And like a feeling of self-doubt that you could ever do something that big again. And maybe you end up desperately trying to recreate that success instead of exploring all the other parts of your life like you would, like I guess a normal 20-something-year-old would. And, you know, I suspect too that, especially for artists, if you become known for something, super famous and known for something, when you barely know who you are and people start expecting you to deliver that again and again and again, I don't know, it sounds like it could become a prison for you, like a one-hit wonder who's just sick of his music but has to play it over and over and over. He also realized that on top of everything, that the work that you become most famous, well known for, isn't even necessarily, or maybe often, it isn't even your best work. He says that it's actually kind of arbitrary which of your work blows up. He said, I had 5 pieces of music on Blood Brother. 4 of them were like, meh. I barely remember writing them. I just threw them in some folder because they seemed cool. Only 1 of them was something I'm still very proud of. I've learned not to make the way you feel about your art the main focus of your life. Don't make what someone thinks about your stuff, or how many plays it gets, or how many downloads it gets, or how many IMDb credits it has, the main thing. Because even if you do succeed, you're going to be a wreck. I got to see early on that even though these things are a huge honor, I don't want them to be the main purpose of my life. Sundance was very cool, but compared to the relationships I have now, compared to my kids and my wife, compared to having my family living right down the street, compared to all of that, Sundance was not that cool. That's it for this week. So thank you so much for watching as always. And don't forget to check the link in the description to read the entire interview with AJ. So, has AJ's story changed the way you feel about early success? Or do you have your own story about the benefits and pitfalls of being a young superstar? I would love to know. Please don't be afraid to share in the comments. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it spoke to you. Thank you for watching again, and I will see you next week.